Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to another astrology weather report. We're going to be looking at the beautiful astral sky for this week and seeing what is coming up for us. And there are three big important energy shifts that we all need to be aware of. We're going to look through all of these and we're going to look at what it means to have Venus, firstly, conjuncting Uranus in the sign of Taurus for everybody, all signs. But stick with me because after that we're going to look at what Mars is doing. And following that, we're going to be looking at the Scorpio full moon and how that will play out in all signs as well. So there's lots of information to go through. So let's get cracking. Well, on the 16th of May, we are going to see little old Venus shift out of Aries where she has been for quite some time and move into the sign of Taurus. This is going to mean we become more Taurian-like with our money and with our love, relationships, and with our sense of self-worth. And what is Taurus? Taurus is stability. Taurus is sensuality. Taurus is feeling safe and secure, having enough, being stable, being calm, being solid. And so our love lives can take on this sort of nature for a little bit. Our finances might even start to feel that way for us, a bit more predictable, a bit more solid for a time, and we will notice the shift in that regard. However, it's not going to last very long because on the 18th of May, 2 days later, Venus makes a conjunction with Uranus, which is the opposite energy. Uranus is the energy of sudden change, big impulses and big out of the blue shocks that come to us unexpectedly. I do love Uranus. He is a planet of excitement and that roller coaster ride energy of like, here we go. And it's really quite interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens for us as individuals on this day because so much of our lives are going to be invigorated by this energy. Once Venus leaves and moves off the sign, the conjunction with Uranus, then we'll find we settle down again and get back into that Taurian stability for a bit more of a longer haul, which is good. But we're going to get an invigorated day around the 18th. On the 18th and probably the day before and the day after as well, we're going to feel this invigorated energy. How is that going to play out? Well, firstly, we're going to need to keep an open mind regarding love and finances because Venus rules love and finances and Uranus is the energy of having a liberated mindset, an open mindset, being, open to things, being, embracing of new ideas and new visions and new aspirations. We are more open-minded with Uranus. So you're going to need to keep an open mind about how you're spending your money, how your love life is going, and regarding your own self-worth and self-value as well. Love and your financial situation can actually change suddenly on this day and out of the blue. So for example, you might go to a shop and you think, yeah, I've got $100 in my wallet. I'll just go buy this. And you go to the counter and you're rifling through your wallet and like, oh my God, I haven't got, where's my $100 gone? I thought I had $100 in my wallet. And it's, something really out of the blue happens regarding your finances. And you go running out of the shop, oh my God, what happened? Where's my $100? And there it is blowing down the street. You're like, oh! So you run after it and you go to grab it and there's this handsome stranger who picks up your $100 bill or whatever, and he's, oh, is this your $100 bill? And you're like, yes, thank you, and let me buy you a coffee to say thanks. Okay, and off you go and have a coffee, and ta-da, love arrives. So this crazy silly scenario, but love and finances can change all of a sudden out of the blue unexpectedly on this day when Venus, the planet of love and romance and money, conjuncts with Uranus. Sudden shocks, sudden unexpected events. So it can be a really exhilarating and exciting day. Now with that funny little scenario that I've just given you, keep in mind that whatever Uranus starts or whatever Uranus shakes up, it may not last. So you might meet that tall, handsome stranger and buy him a coffee to say thank you for finding and picking up your $100, but it may not be a relationship that lasts the long haul unless Saturn is making an aspect to this conjunction in your natal chart. Just say you had Saturn over here at say 2 degrees of Virgo natally, well that's making a trine. So you would have the capacity, if you had that in your chart on this day, to have a new relationship start that lasts the long haul, lasts the distance. which could be really, really cool. Yeah, but generally speaking, if Uranus starts something, it could end just as quickly and just as suddenly and just as out of the blue in a heartbeat. So just be wary of that. And any changes to finances that occur on this day, they could be equally as temporary. So just keep that in mind. Also, if you're in a relationship and it's a bit ho-hum, it's a bit yawn, it's a bit boring, and you really had quite enough, this is a day when you can actually see invigoration occur in your relationship. Suddenly, both of you will be like, hey, you know, let's try this. Let's, you know, get all sensual, like, I don't know, go and, I don't know, do something. I'm not going to give some dirty suggestions on YouTube, but you could go and do something really fun and exciting and quirky and left of center and sensual together, something really alternative that reinvigorates your relationships and the dynamics of your partnership. That can happen on this day, because one of the things Uranus loves to do most is to shake you out of a rut. And when Venus connects in the sky with Uranus, he wants to shake us out of a rut with our relationships and with our money. So both these areas, and our self-worth too, I keep forgetting to add that. So both of these areas, all three of these areas, could really get a churning up on this day in a way that's really beneficial in the long haul for us all as individuals. It's also a great day for single people. So if you're single and you're like, you know, I just get the feeling like I'd love to meet somebody, well, jump online, because Uranus rules the internet. And on this day, when Uranus and Venus connect in the sky, it can be a really good day for meeting someone through internet dating, through some sort of internet dating app. So don't be afraid, give it a whirl. This is a day when something could actually happen in that realm for you. Equally, you might actually draw in partners on this day who are very Uranian. They might be quite scientific. They might be, you know, quantum mechanics specialists or something, and like very, very Uranian. I was like, oh, that would be fantastic. I'd love to talk about quantum mechanics with you over a glass of wine or something. You can draw in people like this, and there can be a great deal of fun and blessing as you connect with more eccentric people, more left of center people, more creative people, more alternative people with this energy. Lots of fun. Now, it's also a day when you could have the impulse to buy something, and something, you know, really different. So you might be, you know, shopping online, and online shopping would definitely be one of the things that could happen here. You might be shopping online and you just suddenly are inspired to buy 10 new dog collars. My God, where did that come from? Why am I buying 10 new dog collars? Well, it could happen because you'll suddenly get this out of the blue impulse from Uranus to buy something, to buy some sort of something. Let's have a look at the different things that we could actually have the impulse to buy. When we've got Aries rising, this conjunction of Uranus and Venus can actually give us the impulse to buy something of a second house nature. What might that be? Well, second house is actually collections of things, the things that we collect and accumulate and hoard. So we might have a fabulous art collection. We might have a Barbie doll collection. We might have a car collection. We might collect die-cast models of something. Whatever it is we collect, we might find something to add to our collection on this day and make a sudden impulse buy. Maybe you've got a vinyl record collection to beat the band, but you're just missing that final rare record to complete a collection of mid-century cool music or whatever. You find that record, you buy it, ta-da, your collection's complete. This is the kind of thing that can happen on the day when Uranus conjuncts Venus and you happen to be Aries rising. If you're Taurus rising, you're going to have this energy falling in the first house of the self. So you will be inspired to do something for your appearance, to purchase something for your appearance. You might be suddenly, you know, get the idea, I'm going to go and get a new haircut. I could do with one myself. You know, you go and get, you know, a brand new haircut, or get your hair colored, or do something really left of center and unusual, but you get the inspiration all of a sudden to go spend your money on your appearance. Maybe a new hairstyle, maybe a new piece of clothing or some jewelry, maybe something to do with, you know, get your nails done or something like that. That's, you just are inspired to go and do something for your body, because this is the house of the body if you're Taurus rising where this is occurring. So you'll be spending money on your body or yourself in some way. Now, if you happen to be Gemini rising, you're going to be inspired to go spend some money all of a sudden on 12th house things. 12th house is actually very much connected to film, to photography. and any type of illusionary experiences. So you might like to go and, you know, to the movies. You might be inspired to, hey, you know what, let's just go see this film, and, you know, go to the movies. The movies are a form of escape, which is also very 12th house. So if you're Gemini rising, you might be really, really inspired to escape the world in some other way as well. Maybe through going and getting a day spa treatment, or having a massage, or you know, maybe signing up for a yoga retreat of some sort. You know, anything that is escaping the ordinary everyday reality, that's where you're going to get inspired to spend your money all of a sudden. It's also a house of creativity. You might really be inspired to think, oh, you know what? I used to love art when I was at high school, and it just made me so happy. You know what? I'm going to go buy myself an art kit. I'm going to get a canvas and some paint, and I'm going to paint again. You get your creativity on. You'll get inspired to go spend money on that sort of thing as well, or possibly. These are just different scenarios. So and spirituality is the other thing too that you might be inspired to spend money on. You might buy some spiritual books, or you might sign up for some sort of online spiritual course. Maybe, you know, get invested in something that like I described before, an ashram or a yoga retreat experience that you sign up for and, you know, spend your money on, to do with spirituality. So it's a fun day for you guys as Gemini rising. Cancer rising people, well, do you know what? You're going to be spending money on your friends. This energy of Taurus is falling in the house of friendships and large groups. Maybe you're part of a book club and you go and buy the latest Kate Morton book for everybody in the book club, because that's the next book you're going to read. And, you know, you just get the impulse to go buy this for your club, for your group. Maybe, you know, you've got a friend who's going through a really hard time, and you're walking down the street and you just see something that she'd really love, something, you know, that would really boost her spirits and make her really happy. You go buy it. You invest in it on this day. So if you are Leo rising, you're going to be able, or you're going to get the impulse to spend money on your career, to spend money on the dreams you want to accomplish in life, on your worldly aspirations. Maybe you want to be the next Beyonce, so you go sign up for a dance class so you can dance like Beyonce, or you know, a singing class or something like that, because that's your career aspiration. That's what you want to do, so you go and invest money in that area of your life. Equally, you might have a boss who's just been really fantastic, and you just get the inspiration all of a sudden on this day to do something to say thank you. Thank you to your boss for having your back, for being there for you. It can flip the other way too, and your boss might really appreciate you on this day and just get the inspiration to give you something to show gratitude or to show appreciation. You might also be investing in your career in some other way. Let's say buying a piece of equipment that you need to make your career work better for you. Doing anything that helps you head up the ladder of achievement for the things you want to achieve in life. That's where you'll be inspired to spend your money on this day. And if you're Virgo rising, well, this is going to fall in the 9th house. This is an area where you will want to spend money on higher learning of some sort. So, you know, it doesn't mean you're going to sign up for university necessarily, but you might decide, you know what, Victor's predictive course, that just looks fantastic. I want to learn that. So you go and do a higher learning course. If you happen to be Virgo rising, you'll be inspired to spend money in doing some higher study, or even you might be inspired to spend money on immersing yourself in another culture. This can mean actually traveling to experience another culture, that you might decide all of a sudden out of the blue, I'm going for a trip to Vienna. Wouldn't that be nice? But you can also decide, you know what, I think I want to take my guru, my mentor, out for dinner at an Italian restaurant. So you go book the restaurant and you arrange the date and you spend some money setting up this date with someone who's a benefactor or a mentor or an inspirational person for you, which is 9th house, is seen by those people. And you spend money on that person, and you do it in a culturally expansive way by trying some cuisine that you've never tried before, and you'll just be inspired to spend money in those sorts of realms, on other cultural experiences, on the people who have got your back and who are benefactors for you, or on some sort of higher learning as well. These are the areas that you might be inspired to spend money all of a sudden on this day. If you happen to be Libra rising, well, this energy is falling in your 8th house. The 8th house is connected to therapy. So you guys, for Libra rising people, you're going to be inspired to spend money on some kind of therapeutic practice. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're all going to rush out and sign up for some Freudian analysis, psychoanalysis. what it is more likely to mean is that you'll go sign up for a kickboxing class because you just felt angry and you need to get this anger out of you somehow. I'm going to go do kickboxing. Kickboxing is a form of therapy. If we're doing it to express our anger and get our frustration out, it's really healthy to do that. Any other types of therapies are where you're going to want to spend your money. Maybe art therapy, maybe music therapy, maybe doing some dance therapy. You'll sign up for a dance therapy class. Maybe you'll go out for coffee with your girlfriends and just purge your soul. You know, you buy everyone a flat white and you sit around and just, let me tell you, I'm just going through this really hard time, and so you spend money doing some therapy for yourself in that manner. 8th house is therapy. You might also spend money on researching some occult topics or exploring metaphysics. You might go and buy a Louise Hay book or something about metaphysics, or other, you know, works like something, one of the Dolores Cannon videos or something like that, which is about left of center things, alternative ways of thinking and looking at the universe. You might be very much drawn into going deep and spending money on going deep with these things. If you are Scorpio rising, this energy is falling in your 7th house. But it's not only the house of your marriage partners or your business partners, it's just generally the house of other people. The 1st house here is the house of you and your journey through life, and opposite you is other people, just all other people. So you're going to want to spend money in some way on other people. Now, you might want to spend money on your business partner. You might want to spend money on your marriage partner. You might want to spend money on, you know, just some random person in the street who needs your help, you know. Other people is where you're going to be inclined to want to spend your money and do something nice for somebody else. Maybe buy them some sort of cultural experience. That's also a 7th house thing. Maybe surprise someone, your lover, or your husband or your wife, with a ticket to the opera or to a concert that they really want to go to, and you surprise them with some impulse buy that's a cultural experience that they're going to love, that they're going to enjoy, because the 7th house is other people and it's also cultural experiences. All right, Sagittarius rising. This is going to put the energy of Uranus and Venus down here in your 6th house. Now, 6th house is co-workers, people, either our subordinates or the people that we work with. This is the house of work, and so you're going to be inspired to, you'll be thinking about what can you do that's really helpful and beneficial to your co-workers. So you might actually decide, oh, you're driving to work, I'm really early today, and there's that hot jam donut stall. You'll pull over, you'll buy everyone at work a hot jam donut, and you rock up at work, hey everyone, I've got your hot jam donut, and you're suddenly king of the castle for an hour because you bought everyone a hot jam donut for work. This is the kind of impulse buy that can occur on this day. Equally, you will probably be inspired in some way to help people in spending your money in a role of service. So maybe you're walking down the street at lunchtime and there is that homeless person that sits in that corner all day, every day, you know, and you think, you know what, I'm going to buy them a meal. I'm going to buy them something to eat. This is the house of people who are suffering, and it's a house of offering service to people who are suffering and helping to fix people's problems. So you're going to be inspired to want to spend your money in some way on this day on people who are suffering, who are hungry, who are poor, and you will want to give your money to help and support them in some way. So if you happen to be Capricorn rising, and I am only using rising signs here, this is not for your moon sign so much or your sun sign. So Capricorn rising puts this energy in the 5th house. If you're Capricorn rising, you may be inclined on this day to want to go spend money at the track or on Tats Lotto or, you know, at the casino or something, but I would encourage you not to do this. This is the house of speculations where Venus and Uranus are combined. Uranus is not a reliable energy to be, you know, entrusting large amounts of speculative money with. So I'd avoid that if possible, and instead I would channel, you know, I really, like, the likelihood of you winning is very minuscule. I would channel my energy, my finances into something a bit more tangible, like spending money on romance, you know. Buy your partner a beautiful big bunch of flowers on the way home. That'll go much further in your life towards making your life happy than, you know, blowing $50 at the track or something. So spend money on romance, spend money on pleasure. This is where you're going to be inspired to also want to spend money in those realms. Also, you might like to spend money on your children with this placement. So, you know, oh, your daughter needs new sneakers, or she's going to a party and she wants some latest jumper that's really cool, mum, to wear to the party. So you'll be like, oh, okay. And you'll get this sudden impulse, you know what, she is a good daughter, I'll buy her that jumper. And you just, you know, you indulge, you spend a little bit, but you know, it's for your children, so it's okay. So this can sort of happen on this date if you happen to be Capricorn rising. If you're Aquarius rising, this energy is going to fall in your 4th house. So for you guys, you're going to be inspired and get a sudden desire and a sudden impulse to buy something for your house. To buy, you know, oh, I love that candelabra. Oh, you've always wanted one of those and that would look so nice in my hall stand. And yep, okay, I'm going to buy that. And you just suddenly make a purchase on impulse for your house, for your home, some sort of item, some sort of work that needs doing maybe as well. But something for your house. Equally, you might also get the sudden impulse to spend money on family, on your heritage, on your roots, on your lineage, or your community. So maybe your community is running some festival of some sort, and they're asking people to donate for a festival that they're trying to run, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'll give you some money, and you just suddenly out of the blue up and cough up, you know, 20 bucks for this festival, towards this festival or something. These kind of things can crop up for people with Aquarius rising on this day, where they give money and give sudden impulse buy towards their community, towards their family or their heritage or their roots or their lineage or their actual physical home. For Aquarius rising, Pisces rising, this energy is falling in the 3rd house. So for you guys, you might actually be inspired to have a sudden buy in realms of small business. So what I mean by that is you might suddenly decide, you know what, I'm trying to set up this small business. I've realized I'm really going to need the MyAb program or whatever it is, the accounting program. So you go and, oh, I'll just buy that for my small business. Or, you know, maybe you need a new camera or sound equipment or something for your recordings or whatever that you're making for YouTube. You would go and buy something on impulse on this day for that sort of thing. So anything for small business you might spend your money on. Also, this is the house of skills and abilities. So you might actually decide all of a sudden, out of the blue, you know what? I really wanted to learn to do makeup artistry. I'm going to go and sign up for a 2-week makeup artistry crash course. So you go do that and you sign up for a crash course in makeup artistry to enhance your skills, to grow your skills. Maybe you decide you're going to all of a sudden boost a post on Facebook. This is very... 3rd house, which is all about advertising, marketing and promotions, communicating as well. So you suddenly decide, I'm going to put some money into that and spend some money on that area of life on this day. If you're Pisces rising, you'll be all of a sudden out of the blue inspired to spend your money in some of those areas. So that's what's happening. It's really quite interesting energy, and it's going to be really fascinating to watch where people put their money on this day. All right, so the next thing we want to look at is this energy down here, which is Mars changing signs into Cancer. So Mars is moving out of Gemini and moving into the sign of Cancer. Now Mars isn't very comfortable in Cancer. Mars is a fire energy and Cancer is a water energy, and they're a bit like oil and water, they just don't mix very well. So it's not a comfortable feeling. Mind you, Mars has been in Gemini for a little bit, and that's not the easiest of energies either. But here in Cancer, we've got another sort of difficulty that we're now facing as Mars on the 17th of May moves into Cancer, and that is the fact that by sign, not by degree now or orb, but by sign, Mars will now be opposing Pluto, Saturn and the South Node. And then for anyone who knows a bit of astrology, they will be aware that Saturn, Pluto and Mars in Vedic astrology are considered to be the malefic planets, as is the North Node. So it's not, we are embarking on a challenging period of the year in all truth. And what this is leading up to is a day that is going to be quite fascinating worldwide, and I'm sort of very curious to see what it will bring for all of us. This is the 14th of June, when Mars is going to oppose this conjunction of these planets in the sky, the 14th of June. I wish I wasn't going to be traveling on this day or around this time, you know, in the couple of days before and after. Unfortunately, I will be. But it is a day when it's probably better to lay low, because things will be happening in the energetic field on this day. Mars, is the planet of war, god of war, Mars, aggression, fighting, anger. He will, on this day, the 14th of June, it's a little way away yet, but he will be opposing the two other heavy-duty planets, Saturn, restriction, blockage, holding things back, and Pluto, abuse and trauma and suffering. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but not to be too heavy and sort of, you know, all doom and gloom. We do need to be aware that these things are happening and try and navigate our way through these energies. So from the moment Mars moves in here, we're going to start to notice maybe a shift energetically. Mars is our energy, Mars is our drive, Mars is our enthusiasm. Things might change a little bit for us in that realm with our energy and our enthusiasm and our drive, as Mars makes its way slowly over the next couple of weeks to the latter degrees of Cancer. Okay, so just be aware if something shifts with your energy and your energy levels and your enthusiasm levels, it's most likely going to be connected to Mars, who is doing some interesting things right now. We're going to begin to see the leading up to energies of this opposition that's going to occur. Now let's leave that one aside, because there'll be more to be talked about with that one next week and in the ensuing weeks as Mars gets closer to making the opposition with the conjunction. The next thing we want to look at is the full moon that's occurring in Scorpio. So here is the sun and here is the moon, and obviously they are sitting in opposite signs. So it's a really interesting full moon, actually. Really interesting full moon. The moon here in the sign of Scorpio is in debilitation. The moon, this is the only sign that the moon's not really happy in. And it's really quite sad that that's the case. And from a historic point of view, there are very interesting reasons why the moon is uncomfortable in Taurus. Let me tell you a little about that. And forgive me for jumping on my semi-feminist bandwagon here, but it is really important to share this stuff. In astrology, you may often notice in, meme groups and astrological Facebook groups and stuff, people tend to bag the sign of Scorpio. Oh, they're so intense, and oh, they're so deep, and they're just, they're so full on, and they bag Virgo. Both these energies, Virgo's really critical, and they're really perfectionist, and they're hard to be around because they're so critical. You'll hear silly things like that being said. This is because, in my estimation, and according to shamanic astrology as well, both of these two signs have been maligned since the patriarchy took over thousands of years ago, a couple of thousand years ago. Before that, these energies were very strong and powerful feminine energies. This Scorpio is actually correlated with witchcraft, which has a bad taste for a lot of people these days to say the word witch, or to be a wizard, or to be involved in witchcraft. Really, it's like herbal healing remedies, energy healing like Reiki. These sorts of things are what has been collectively referred to as witchcraft. And of course, Virgo is the priestess energy. That's the archetype of Virgo. So she is the priestess offering service and support and help to others. And there is power in that. And there has been, prior to the patriarchy, these have been powerful feminine energies of healing and of restoration. Virgo is connected to the 6th house of healing through practical means, through diet and exercise and good sleep and routine and what have you. This is the house of healing. Scorpio is connected to the 8th house, the house of healing, through therapy. And through energy healing, energy work, and medicines like, herbs and what have you. So when the patriarchy took over, in order to raise itself up above the feminine, it had to squash down these powerful feminine energies. And so we find they've been repressed. Now, for some reason, Virgo the moon in Virgo is not debilitated. But for Scorpio, it has become debilitated, because this one has particularly been attacked by the patriarchy over hundreds and thousands of years. Witches have been burned at the stake and hunted down, and, you know, Celtic priestesses, you know, have been slaughtered and what have you. Terrible, terrible things have happened to these women and people who practiced shamanic activity in the past, based on, you know, the patriarchy's fear of their power. And so what Scorpio energy has done, it's retreated into itself. It's hidden itself away. I can't reveal that I know medicinal secrets with herbs, because if I do, I will be burned at the stake. These kinds of feelings, which is why Scorpio has become a secretive sign. Prior to this, Scorpio was a powerful sign of feminine healing and restoration and mystical power. Now it's had to become reclusive and secretive in order to cope and survive, because it's been persecuted. And this is why the moon, which is a feminine energy, the mother energy, that nurturing whole energy, is debilitated in the sign of Scorpio, because wherever the moon goes is where it's what we need to be happy, what we need to feel fulfilled at an emotional level. And so say when the moon's in Libra, what we need to feel emotionally fulfilled and happy is relationship, you know, partnership, connection. When the moon's in Scorpio, what we need to feel emotionally fulfilled and happy is connection with feminine energy, healing and energy wisdom, the dark side, if you want to call it that, or the knowledge of hidden things. Well, if that's being repressed, if you're not allowed to explore those things, your moon is not going to feel happy. You are not going to feel fulfilled. You are not going to feel, you know, that life is good to you if your moon is in Scorpio, because you cannot, if this is repressed in your society, your moon is being held back and subdued, essentially. So this is why, sorry, my children are home from school. And they like to let me know. So this is why the Scorpio moon is considered to be a debilitated one. So the full moon in Scorpio is a really, really interesting time. I thought I'd just give you some background on the moon and its role in Scorpio and why it's considered to be a challenge and debilitated. So I hope that makes sense to people. But there is an intense mother energy with the moon. There's a nurturing energy with the moon. And here we have a moon at its fullness, at its wholeness, at its completeness, at its harvest phase. And so this is a very full mothering energy. And because it's in the sign of Scorpio, this feminine intensity, it is an intense mothering energy. It is a very, you know, deep, full, powerful mother energy that we are feeling at the moment, an intense harvest energy that we are feeling at the moment. And this will be felt for both good or ill, depending on what was sown in our lives 2 weeks ago when the moon was down here conjunct with the sun in Taurus, the new moon in Taurus. So what did you sow at that time? Did you sow seeds of personal power? Did you sow seeds of kindness? Did you sow seeds at that time and intentions at that time to manifest something really wonderful and much needed in your life? Maybe you wanted to get a new job or find a new love or do something kind for your children, and you sowed the intention back then that that's what you wanted. So whatever was happening in your life 2 weeks ago from this full moon, that is what was sown, and now we're at the harvest point for that. It's a very transformative harvest when it's in the sign of Scorpio. It's going to be a culmination point or a crisis point for us. So we can enter a period of crisis where suddenly we have to confront what was sown. We have to reap what was sown, whether that was good or bad. And so that can be a crisis point if we've sown something not so flash. It can be a culmination point when something we've sown that has been beneficial and kindly and loving is actually, you know, culminating in our lives, and we're receiving back the blessing and the abundance for having sown that. It's very, very powerful. Sorry, my son has a loud voice, so forgive the noise in the background. So it is a time of this transformative harvest. So in order to manifest the intentions that we established 2 weeks ago at this point of new moon, what we need to do is we need to integrate a little bit of Scorpio and a little bit of Taurus, because this is what we call the polarity points of the axis. New moon here, full moon here. And in order to manifest what we wanted, what we desired, what we intended, we need to incorporate a bit of Scorpio and a bit of Taurus. okay, within us. So essentially we need to combine, to integrate the passion of Scorpio with the sensuality of Taurus. We need to integrate the watery, soulful flow of powerful Scorpio energy with the earthly practicality and the material world that is Taurus. We need to combine both. So, you know, I'm going to go through some ways where we can actually do that. For example, let's just say, let me get this happening so it's you can see visually what I'm meaning here. If you happen to have Taurus rising, this full moon, I should put him up there, this full moon is going to be occurring on the 1st house and the 7th house axis of your chart if you have Taurus rising. It will also be occurring on this axis if you have Scorpio rising. Okay, so here we are with the axis that's either Scorpio rising or Taurus rising. This is your 1st house, 7th house axis. So essentially what you will be needing to combine to manifest your dreams at this time of the full moon is a combination of yourself. The 1st house is the self, the body, your soul and body's journey through this incarnation, and the house of the other. So other people, you need to combine self-respect, respect for self, and honoring of self with honoring of others, and you know, making space for others. You need to sort of be able to work with yourself and with others in a diplomatic, fair, balanced, harmonious, and you know, beneficial way. If you can integrate both the need to honor yourself and the need to honor others, you have the capacity to manifest your intentions if you have Taurus rising or if you have Scorpio rising. That will be the case for you. Moving along, if you happen to have, I might just go back to this, if you have Gemini, we'll start with Taurus, Scorpio. If you have Gemini rising, let's make it Aries. If you have Aries rising, then obviously the axis is going to be the 2nd and the 8th house axis here. This is also the same. So Aries rising, keep that in mind. And it's also going to be a thing if you happen to have Libra rising. Same axis, okay? Same axis for both signs. Hope you're following me here. So if you've got Libra or if you've got Aries, then this axis of the full moon is falling on your 2nd house and your 8th house. So essentially you are going to need to integrate your finances, your money, your resources. 2nd house is your money, your finances, your resources. 8th house is other people's finances, other people's money, other people's resources. You need to combine the two. You know, maybe you're wanting a loan for a business venture or something. You need to combine your bit of your money with a bit of the bank's money, combining resources in order to manifest your dreams when you have Libra rising or Aries rising this week. You're also going to need to integrate your self-worth, 2nd house, with the ability and the capacity to receive from others. That is the sign of the 8th house. So integrating your self-worth and your value from others and your ability to receive from others. You're also going to be integrating your sense of need for security with perhaps a little bit of a need for risk and maybe some crisis in life in order to manifest your dreams. So you're going to have to sort of integrate and mix the two in some way. Maybe you need a sense of stability in your home life, but you've got to take a risk with your business or something. So, you know, you make sure that you're well prepared for some sort of crisis. So therefore, you know you're stable if something goes wrong, but you can still afford to take a risk. The integration of stability and preparation for crisis. That's something that needs to happen if you have either of these rising signs, because the full moon is representative of the need to integrate two energies in order to reap the harvest. Hope I'm making sense here. So the next one we want to look at is the 3rd house and the 9th. So if you're Virgo rising or if you are Pisces rising, this is where the full moon is occurring for you guys. Virgo rising or Pisces rising. Either of these two energies are going to have this axis of polarity playing out. The full moon, if you're Virgo rising, is occurring in your 3rd house, And just to try to clear things up and hopefully not confuse people, if you're Pisces rising, the full moon's occurring up here in your 9th house. So there is a need to integrate these two energies, 3rd house, 9th house. What is that? Well, 3rd house is our small world environment, our localized environment where we live, our community, the surrounding region, and then 9th house is the big wide world, out there in the big world. And so you need to somehow integrate your community, your circle, your region, and the need to reach out to the big world and be involved in the big world. So maybe you need to sort of, maybe you're doing some marketing or something, and you market at a localized level, and you also look at integrating and marketing at a big global level as well in some way. Integration of 3rd house and 9th house. 3rd house is your skills and practical skills, that skills of the hands. 9th house is the higher knowledge, the higher wisdom. So in some way, you guys, to manifest your dreams this week, Pisces or Virgo rising signs, you're going to need to integrate your skills of the hands, like being a really good hairdresser or being really good at woodworking or something, and combine it with some higher knowledge. So let's say that you're really good at writing and you've done a couple of writing courses, and you combine it with your tremendous knowledge of astrology. 9th house is higher knowledge of higher amazing things like astrology. And you integrate the two, and you write some articles about astrology that you publish online. That is an integration of 3rd house skills and 9th house skills that can enable you to manifest your dreams that were sown back at the new moon. That's just one example. There are many ways that this can play out, but I hope I'm getting the creative juices flowing for you and giving you some ideas of how this would work. 3rd house, 9th house energy is also combining the skills of socializing, 3rd house, and networking with the guru and the inspirational figures. So, you know, maybe you follow some amazing person on YouTube and they inspire you and they give you so much knowledge and wisdom, and they're, you know, they seem really great, and you share it with your networks and you promote them in your networks. That is the integration of your social networks and an inspirational figure. Doing that can actually help benefit you to harvest, make a harvest of the intentions and the desires that were sown at the new moon. Okay, so the next sign we want to look at here is the Aquarius Leo axis. So if you have Aquarius rising, the full moon is falling up here in your 10th house. And if you have Leo rising, then the full moon is falling in your, whoa, too far. The full moon is falling down here in your 4th house. This is the 10th house, 4th house axis in whole sign astrology, which is the system that I use. So if you've got either of these two rising signs, Aquarius or Leo, this is the energy that you're going to need to integrate into your life in order to manifest your dreams this week. So you're going to need to combine and work with home and career. Somehow the two have to meld together in order for you to have success. So maybe you need to find a balance between your home life and your family life and being a parent or whatever, with your desire to have a successful career and to be out there in the world and doing great things and achieving your dreams. Somehow there needs to be a balance made and an integration of the home life and your career life in order to be successful and to achieve what you intended from the new moon 2 weeks ago, now that the moon has reached its full harvest capacity. Other things you'll need to integrate are the legacy that you have received in the past from your heritage, your roots, and your lineage, and the legacy you want to leave for people. Somehow you need to combine the two. So you've had this really good upbringing and this legacy that's left you in really good stead, and now you need to sort of utilize that and combine that with what you want to achieve and leave for the world and for those who come after you. A combination of the legacy received and the legacy left. Also, you'll want to combine somehow and integrate social visibility and personal privacy. Again, maybe that's a balancing act. You know, you want to be out there and seen in the world, but equally you've got a private life that needs to be attended to as well, and you need to keep some personal space. So the integration of the two is going to be important this week for you to succeed and manifest your dreams. This is Aquarius rising and Leo rising signs will notice this is needed. And second last, we have Cancer. Boop-ba-doo. If you're Cancer rising, the full moon is falling in your 5th house. And so this is one of the axes that we need to look at, the 5th house axis. And Capricorn rising is the other sign that's going to be affected by this integration energy, and it's got the full moon occurring in its 11th house. So what needs to be integrated here in order to manifest the dreams that you and the intentions that you sowed that were sown 2 weeks ago at the new moon for you guys, if you're Cancer rising or Capricorn rising, is the integration of self-expression, personal self-expression and creativity with what is good for everyone and the group. Somehow you need to combine both. It's not just all about you, it's also about the group, but it's not just all about the group, it's also about you being able to express yourself. Somehow you need to find a win-win situation and meet in the middle and integrate the two. It's also about your individuality. Again, that self-expression and being the unique person that you were created to be needs to also combine with you know, being part of the collective, being part of humanity in general, and somehow you've got to work to incorporate the two, you know, not to separate yourself and say, hey, I don't need you, and not for the group to say, hey, you know, we don't take any kooky people here. You know, there's got to be an combination of the both in order for you to manifest your dreams. Also, a combination of pleasure and social responsibility. The 11th house is our social responsibilities, you know, our humanitarian nature and helping, you know, a just cause and fighting for equality and all these sorts of things are actually 11th house things. Social responsibility, and 5th house is pleasure and fun and joy. Somehow you've got to combine two and reach a win-win situation of integration between pleasure and between social responsibility. The other thing that happens on this axis is we need to integrate the polarity of children and lovers with our friends. So maybe, you know, you're spending so much time with your kids or with your new lover or something, and you're just ignoring your friends, and hey, that's not healthy. Somehow you've got to find a balance and integrate both in order for you to be able to manifest and achieve your goals and dreams in life. So it's not an easy balance to, you know, friends and lovers and friends and children, but you need to work towards that if you want to manifest the dreams and the things that were sown back at the new moon 2 weeks ago that are reaching their harvest point now with the full moon. So the final axis that we're looking at is the axis that is Sagittarius. If you're Saggy rising, there's my pointer. If you're Sagittarius rising, the full moon is falling up here in your 12th house, and this is also, we need to pay attention to this if we are Gemini rising, because the full moon will be falling over here in the 6th house, okay? So if you're Sagittarius or if you're Gemini rising, the full moon integration is required on your 6th house, 12th house axis. So hopefully this isn't too confusing for people, and I apologize profusely if it is, and you obviously will need to know your rising sign to understand what it is you've got to integrate. But for Cappy and Sag, not Capricorn, Sagittarius and Gemini, you need to integrate practical healing, which is a 6th house thing. That means good diet, good exercise, taking care of your body, you know, perfecting the self, getting enough rest. You need to integrate that with miraculous healing. So maybe you've had some health issues if you're Sag rising or Gemini rising. Maybe you've had some health issues and you actually come to a conclusion at this time, you know what, if I'm to move forward in life, I need to integrate a healthy lifestyle, 6th house, with actually perhaps going and getting that surgery that I need. 12th house is surgery, and what we call miraculous healing is 12th house. And this is, I mean, 100 years ago, the stuff we do in operating rooms would have blown the minds of doctors back then. You know, what we have these days is miraculous healing at our doorstep through surgery. We also can access higher realms of, you know, divine miracle healing that occurs, you know, touching the hem of his garment kind of stuff. So there is a need to integrate the miraculous, you know, looking for that incredible cure from cancer, with the practicalities of having a healthy lifestyle. They need to be integrated for you guys, Gemini, Sagittarius, in some way to achieve the the things and the dreams and the ambitions and so forth that were sown 2 weeks ago, the intentions that were laid out 2 weeks ago. Also, you are combining service to the world, which is 6th house, with escape from the world. Okay, this is the polarity. In one sense, you need to compassionately serve the world, and in another sense you're going to want to escape and have nothing to do with the world and just sort of run away and have a holiday. Somehow you have to combine the two, service with escape. How do you work that? Maybe you go and sign up for a weekend at an ashram or something, where you're offering service, but it's also a retreat from the everyday. That could be the case. But whatever it is, and there's many ways this scenario could play out, it's a combination of integrating in a win-win way service and escape to help support you to manifest your dreams. Now, escape could be going to hospital, and service could be helping somebody in hospital, being a support, or being somebody who's encouraging someone who's just been through a really rough operation or something. That could be a combination of service and escape. 12th house is hospitals, which are, like, unfortunately the more difficult idea of escape from ordinary reality. But there is a need to combine these two in order to manifest the harvest of this full moon. And finally, this is the house, 6th house is the house of perfecting the self, perfecting your walk through life, perfecting, fixing the things that are wrong, essentially, 6th house. And obviously the 12th house is honoring the divine. So somehow you have to honor the divine while seeking to perfect your earthly practical experience. Okay, so there's a real connection here, and a need to have a win-win situation for you personally at a divine level, honoring your divine self, recognizing that I am God and I am having, I am the divine having a human experience, and I honor that and I will make space for that. And also the need to improve and fix and perfect your current life, reading some self-help books, or looking to have that better lifestyle structures that supports your journey better. So it's integrating and recognizing that yes, you are divine, but you're also having a human experience, and there is a need to combine the two in healthy ways. So for anyone who's Gemini rising and Sagittarius rising, these will be some of the issues that might crop up in some way as you seek to harvest what was sown 2 weeks ago at the new moon. So that's what I'm seeing playing out this week. I hope this last little piece hasn't been too confusing for people, because we are talking about axes as much as we're talking about rising signs, and we're talking about polarity points where there's a need to combine two very, very different, often very opposite sorts of energy in order to manifest what we want. But that is how full moons work. We need to learn how to master the polarity. And when you think about it, here we are with a polarity. Anyone who's born with a full moon, my son has full moon, the one who was making the ruckus before, he must have tuned into the fact that I'm talking about full moon energy here. He was born under a full moon, exact to the degree, and I've got to say, he's a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes he will be absolutely divine, and other times he's loud and is like you probably heard. So there is this push-pull energy with a full moon. We are being drawn in one way and we're being drawn in the other by the masculine luminary and the feminine luminary. We're being pulled in two directions. So the secret to mastering full moon manifestation is to bring them both together and combine them in some way in our lives so that we can utilize that energy powerfully. So I hope that made sense, and I hope you've enjoyed our little sojourn through the skies today. Let me just close with a short little prayer of gratitude to the universe as we move into this week. Energy of love, we just ask for your blessing upon us this week. Help us to know how to channel these energies really well so that we can work at the highest level with the planets and with the energies in the universe to make our lives better, to make the lives of those around us better, to bless and uplift humanity and our lives personally. Please give us the wisdom to see what we can do. Please give us the insight and the understanding to know how we should work with these energies and how to best manifest them. And so it is. Thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to chatting with you further next week in next week's Astro Weather Report.